This is Orlando Sentinel Now.
Hello and welcome. It's Friday, September 24th, and this is Orlando Sentinel Now. Today, we're talking about Orange County's vaccine mandate and issues that its employees face. Also, a Milk District pop up store. I'm your host, Joe Mario Pedersen, and joining me today, I have Orange County government reporter Ryan Gillespie and business reporter Austin Fuller. Thank you both so much for being here. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Ryan, coming to you first for one of your latest headlines here. Orange County employees face written reprimand if they don't comply with the vaccine mandate. Now, a lot to unpack here, Ryan. First off, getting into the news about the mandate and the possible punishment of a written reprimand if they don't comply. What do we know?
This is basically the result of sort of a prolonged fight with the union that represents the firefighters at Orange County. Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings put in a mandate for all employees to be vaccinated at the end of July, basically giving them a deadline to receive their first shot of vaccine and then a second deadline to be fully vaccinated if they went with one of the two-dose shots. And those deadlines are approaching, and the firefighters were still at the negotiating table with the county. There was a pretty significant chunk of that union who was adamantly against this mandate, who argued, as recently as in front of a county commission meeting last week, but also at the union negotiating table, that they should not be subject to the vaccine mandate, essentially arguing that they would like the right to choose.
This county mandate to get the COVID-19 vaccine and face discipline up to termination is a threat and violates all moral, ethical standards of the agency that claims to be high on moral standing and serves public trust.
I have over 23 years of experience. 23 years of experience as eyes have seen, all right? This is what you're throwing away by this mandate.
I'm not here asking for favoritism or special consideration. All I'm here asking for is the opportunity and the ability to give informed consent to what I want and don't want in my body.
I also stand before you as a fire wife to a firefighter paramedic of 12 years. Today, our family is faced with termination on September 30th from Orange County Fire Rescue, which means no income, no benefits for our special needs children who receive medication and services totaling $7,000 a month without our health insurance. And my husband's passion and drive for his career ripped out from underneath him due to a choice he is making for his body.
We feel that first responders on duty is to provide informed consent to all our citizens and patients prior to and during treatment. That being said, why is our informed consent being stripped of us by an employer?
I guess at some level, the mayor and the county kind of backed down to that union by capping the punishment at a written reprimand, as opposed to what he had said before, is that employees who go against the mandate would be subject to the county's progressive discipline, which could go as high as termination, I guess. So basically, that's where we're at right now. Demings said he did not ever have the intention of firing employees for this, and that his goal was to boost vaccination rates. So he's considering this still a win, with 84% of the county employees vaccinated.
It was never my intention to terminate anyone from our employment. Instead, my desire and goal was to increase the rate of vaccinations amongst our employees, and we have accomplished that. I very much respect the input we've heard from our employees who were fearful of losing their jobs. We advised the firefighters union that the county would discipline non-compliant employees only to the point of a written reprimand.
Now, as far as just monitoring Orange County's overall vaccination rate, do we have any idea where the county's at right now?
Among county residents, we're around 72%, which is a significant chunk of the county. It's vastly improved over the last 4 or 5 months. But rates are slowing again. People aren't getting vaccinated at the rates that they did even maybe a month ago, when the Delta variant was really kind of circulating around here at kind of scary high numbers. It's still around at higher than anybody would like. About 10.5% of COVID-19 tests are still positive. It's fair to assume that almost all of those are the Delta variant, if not all of those. And right now we are seeing a lot of deaths still. 45 more have been reported to the county since Monday. Some of those are from weeks ago. So we're really tracking August very closely right now because it's far and away already the deadliest month of the pandemic in Orange County. But it's up to 401 deaths in the month of August, which is, more than 100 more than the next deadliest month, and that number will probably continue to climb as more are reported.
So even with high vaccination rates amongst the residents or amongst employees, we're still seeing these infections and deaths, unfortunately, occur here in the county. I wanted to ask you, though, Ryan, at the county government level, how have those infections possibly disrupted the way that the government has been able to operate?
So there's a number of reasons. For one, Orange County is one of, if not the largest employer that we have here in Central Florida. They've got thousands of employees. So they've got employees miss work on a regular basis either because they contracted COVID-19 or because they were exposed to somebody who had COVID-19. And also, unfortunately, the county's experienced several deaths of their employees with the virus. And Mayor Demings has said before that there are several more currently that are in the hospital or in critical fights with the virus even to this day. So there have been obvious disruptions there. And then kind of from like more of a business standpoint, right now there's this process ongoing at the county called redistricting. And essentially what that is we elect as voters county commissioners to represent an area of the county. There are these lines that are drawn. And every 10 years after there's a census, which we just got the results of fairly recently, as a county, we redraw the lines to make sure that the districts are fair in terms of, commissioners are representing relatively the same number of people, that the lines make sense if we've got like explosive growth in like Lake Nona, for example, and slower growth elsewhere, that we account for that and things like that. So process is ongoing right now. They had their first meeting earlier this week, and one member of the board who was appointed showed up to the meeting and I guess found out after the fact that they were exposed to COVID-19 in their home. So the county distributed an email to the rest of the board with various resources of, if they, not to cause alarm, as they said, but if you feel sick, you may have been exposed to the virus at this meeting. This person wore a mask, the county says, during the meeting. And again, found out after the fact that they were exposed. So yeah, it's still very much an everyday part of all of our lives, and the county is not exempt from that.
Absolutely. And certainly more details coming out of this as we continue to monitor the story. Stay up to date with it with Ryan's work at orlandosentinel.com. Ryan, thank you so much. All right, Austin, I want to come over to you now for, as we talked about before, a pop-up over in the Milk District called the Milk District Spot. What is it? Can you tell us about it?
Sure. So the Milk District Main Street program opened up this 700 square foot space on Robinson that if you're a small business, a local artist, you could take it over for a day, you could take it over for months. And the goal is for that space to serve as a retail incubator.
So recently, that retail incubator hosted 4 different, I guess, people selling different kinds of merchandise. Who was there?
On Tuesday night, they have a food truck event actually behind the space. And one of the options for the Milk District spot is you can take over the spot for that evening, or you could take it over with other vendors. And so on this past Tuesday, there was Asian Beauty Essentials selling imported Asian skincare, Guilty Scents selling candles, BAM Illustrations, and I'm probably going to mess up the pronunciation on this, but Pansky Labs selling jewelry and home decor.
Now, the overall idea to do this was the Milk District Main Street organization. What was the idea behind setting this up?
Sure. So the organization consistently heard from people that they wanted to open a shop of their own, but those people weren't quite ready to take that leap into a full store. So the goal of this space is to kind of fill that gap, so that when retail space opens up, there's people who have experience and are ready to move in.
So this is more or less operating as a segue for people who aren't quite at that step yet, right? To have a storefront. Was there anyone that you talked to who expressed their interest in opening up a storefront?
Sure. Well, like for instance, the Asian beauty store has been selling their products online. They started during the pandemic, so it's all been online, and they want to have a brick and mortar store here in Orlando next year. So they see this as a way to kind of prove their concept and maybe help get funding to move into a permanent or to a brick and mortar spot.
As far as rent goes for something like this, what are they charging?
Sure, it all depends on the type of business because there are subsidized rates available. There's the subsidized rents are for local artists and small businesses, but also the amount of time you're going to be in the spot, and if it's on a Tuesday night, if you want the whole thing, or if you want part of it. So, just as an example, if you want to be there for a month and you're a local artist in a small business, you can get the subsidized rent for $2,500 for the month. If you're not a local artist or small business, that's $4,000.
Well, there you go. Be on the lookout for the Milk District spot. And if you're looking for more information on it, take a look at Austin's work at OrlandoSentinel.com, where, of course, you can find the story that we talked about before, as well as all kinds of other stories that are happening in and around your community. For those of you who are subscribers to the Orlando Sentinel, thank you so much for continuing to support our work and supporting local journalism. If you want to become a supporter, it's easy to do so. All you need to do is visit OrlandoSentinel.com/subscribe. But as for OSN, that will do it for us today. A big thank you to Ryan and Austin for keeping us plugged in into what's going in and around our community. We'll see you again next week with more news. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Watch Orlando Sentinel Now live every weekday at noon on our Facebook page and on OrlandoSentinel.com.